Through our previous classes, we have learned the types of electric shock, the causes of electric shock, first aid methods of electric shock and other knowledge regarding first aid electric shock, been familiar with the requirements and principles for first aid of electric shock, and grasped the method for extricated the person with an electric shock from the power supply. In this class, we are going to learn the rescue measure for the person with electric shock by artificial respiration method. By rescuing the person with electric shock by artificial respiration method, grasp the first aid method and steps for electric shock by artificial respiration method. 1. Determine whether there is a loss of consciousness or not. Firstly, move the person with an electric shock to a dry, spacious and ventilated place, unfasten his coat and belt, make him lie in a supine position, and then determine his physiological status immediately. Determine whether the person with electric shock has lost consciousness or not, and whether he has respiration arrest or cardiac arrest or not. Pat or gently shake the shoulder of the person with electric shock, do not shake her head, and ask about her current condition loudly. In case of no response, pinch and compress her philtrum filtra with your fingers. If there is still no response, it means that the person with electric shock has lost consciousness. This determination process shall be completed within 5s. 2. Determine whether there is respiration arrest or not. This is generally done by looking, listening and testing. Looking refers to observing whether the chest and abdomen of the person with electric shock fluctuate or not with eyes. If not, it means that the respiration has stopped. Listening refers to using ears to get close to the mouth or nose of the person with electric shock, to listen to whether there is a breathing sound. Testing refers to using face or hand to get close to the mouth and nose of the person with electric shock, to test whether there is expiration or not, or placing a piece of thin paper on the mouth and nose of the person with electric shock, to observe whether the paper moves or not. This determination process shall be completed within 3-5s. Next, we will learn the rescue methods for a person with an electric shock in 2 circumstances. 1. Rescue for person in consciousness. Ask her to lie on the spot, and then restore to normal slowly. Observe the changes in her respiration and expression during this period, and feel her pulse every 1 to 2 minutes. If the person is discovered to be in irregular respiration or heartbeat, he should be sent to a hospital for diagnosis and treatment immediately. If the person is discovered to be in respiration or cardiac arrest, he should be rescued on the spot immediately. 2. For rescue of the person with a heartbeat but no respiration, mouth-to-mouth, nose, artificial respiration shall be made. Next, we will learn the specific operation of artificial respiration from the video. 1. Preparatory work. 1. Lie the person with electric shock flat on a solid plane, door plank or bed plank. 2. Unfasten the tight-fitting jacket of the person with an electric shock and loosen the straps of the pants, skirt, to facilitate breathing. 3. In order to avoid respiratory obstruction, false teeth and other foreign matters, e.g., vomitus, etc., in the mouth of the person with electric shock shall be removed. 2. Open airway. 1. Lift the jaw by raising the head. The rescue person shall stand beside the shoulder of the person with electric shock on one side, place one hand on the person's forehead, and push the head backward forcefully with the palm. Place fingers of the other hand below the jaw of the person with electric shock, and raise the jaw upward, until the ligature of the mouth and ear is vertical to the ground. It is strictly forbidden to place a pillow or other objects under the head of the person with electric shock, otherwise, it will result in an obstructed airway. 2. Jaw thrust method. If the person with electric shock has neck trauma, the jaw thrust method shall be used. The rescue person shall kneel in front of the head of the person with electric shock, and use the thumbs and index fingers of both hands to seize the external side and internal side of the jaw of the person with electric shock, respectively, to thrust the jaw with force. Do not turn the head over, so as to avoid aggravated neck trauma. 3. Mouth-to-mouth artificial respiration. Artificial respiration refers to maintaining air exchange by strong artificial and mechanical effects, and then making the person with electric shock restore normal respiration slowly. Operation method. The rescue person shall kneel down on one side of the person with electric shock, use one hand to thrust the lower jaw of the person with electric shock, place the other hand on the forehead of the person with electric shock, and then use the thumb and index finger to pinch the nostrils of the person with electric shock, and open her mouth. The rescue person shall take a deep breath first, and then use his both lips to wrap the mouth of the person with electric shock, and then blow into the mouth with force. After blowing, get rid of the mouth of the person with an electric shock immediately, and in the meantime, relax, but not remove, the fingers pinching the nostrils, and enable the person with electric shock to breathe autonomously, the process of which shall be repeated constantly. 3. Key points of operation. A. Blow twice into the mouth of the person with electric shock. Blow air for 1-1.5 s every time to make his lungs dilate, to facilitate air exchange during artificial respiration. After blowing air twice, feel the carotid artery of the person with electric shock to see whether it beats or not. If the carotid artery does not beat, external chest compression shall also be performed at the same time. B. At the time of air blowing, pay attention to whether the chest of the person with electric shock fluctuates or not. If not, check whether there is air leakage, whether his airway is open or whether the air blowing volume is sufficient. C. The air blowing volume shall be 800 to 1200 milliliters every time. If blowing too much air, it may make the airflow back into the stomach, causing dilation of the stomach. If blowing too little air, it may result in failed artificial respiration due to insufficient oxygen. D. The air blowing speed shall be even. For adults, it shall be blown once every 5s, for a total of 12 times per minute. For children, it shall be blown once every 4s, for a total of 15 times per minute. E. After the time of air blowing, do not press the chest of the person with an electric shock. If feeling that there is great resistance at the time of air blowing, it might be that the head is not backward enough, which shall correct timely. 2. Mouth-to-nose artificial respiration. If the person with electric shock closes his teeth tightly, and his mouth can't be opened, or his lips or lower jaw have trauma, mouth-to-nose artificial respiration shall be performed. At the time of operation, close the mouth of the person with electric shock tightly, and use both lips to wrap the nostrils of the person with electric shock, and then blow air into his nose. The specific operation methods and key points of operation are the same as those of mouth-to-mouth artificial respiration. In this class we have learned the key points for rescue of the person with electric shock by artificial respiration method. That concludes this class. Thank you, everyone.